Hello, everyone. Good morning and welcome to our webinar, where we'll be looking at how to unlock project success. But before we start, let me give you a quick introduction of who I am and who we are as AlfaPeople. So my name is João Freitas. I am a supply chain consultant at AlfaPeople with over 8 years experience in Dynamics and over 13 years managing global projects implementations. And for those of you who still do not know AlfaPeople, we're leaders in implementing Microsoft business solutions across the globe, currently present in 14 different countries and growing. We have over 800 employees spread all over the world with more than 600 active Microsoft certifications and delivering projects to over 2,000 customers around the globe. And since 2021, more than 80% of our services were delivered fully online using the solutions we sell and implement. And to note that we have been part of the inner circle for the past 14 years in a row, receiving multiple awards along the way, and we are in the elite range at the very top 1% of Microsoft partners worldwide. So if you are still debating whose hands to put your project on, I guess look no further. So with that said, time to dig into today's topic, unlocking the project success. And for that, I'll be giving you a quick overview at how we use Azure DevOps in combination with Agile methodologies to effectively plan, manage, and implement our projects globally. So without further ado, let's jump into our agenda. So I try to keep it short and sweet as time is rather limited, but it will be just enough to give you a summary of the full potential of DevOps tool to spark your interest now so you can explore it further later on. So what do we have in the agenda today? Firstly, we will dive into the world of project planning and how we use DevOps to help us break down the project into 7 easy bites, which will surely lead any plan to a successful go live. And secondly, we will jump into the topic of project implementation. Here, I'll show you how we seamlessly manage our regular sprint deliveries with the help of Scrum and how DevOps and Agile work together as a whole. So right after that, we will have a quick look at how we can build simple dashboards to efficiently monitor the backlog, the sprints, the data migrations, and the entire project in general, not to mention building dashboards to display statistics on the overall progress of the plan. Finally, I will summarize the main benefits of using DevOps whilst being agile. And by then, you'll be ready to go live, hopefully. All right. So I'm sure you'll all agree that the hardest part of a project is figuring out where and how to kickstart it. So no matter how small or large your corporation might be, rolling out a new system can easily grow out of proportions rather quickly. And if the right tools and strategies are not in place from the start, then it will be impossible to manage such projects and ensure a timely delivery. Therefore, the first and most important step of planning consists in accurately addressing the elephant in the room. I think it is common sense that an elephant is a pretty huge beast to digest at once. So what do? We break it down into edible bites. Yeah. So let's see how we can do that in DevOps. So here we'll break down the problem into 3 main stages at first. Okay, so this is stage 1. Of course, you can break it down even further, but in general, 3 stages are more than sufficient. So this is a print screen of one of our projects backlog as an example. The items highlighted represent the first stage of the layout, where we have split the business into main topics. In DevOps, these are called epics, and we have split it into sales, procurement and supply chain, warehouse management, cross functions, integrations and interfaces, and finance. And now we'll take a look at the second stage of the breakdown. All right. So here is where we actually drill down each of the epics into main modules. They are called features in DevOps. And as an example, I have opened up the drill of the sales epic, which in this case consists on sales prices and discounts, customer order management, and customer creation. But again, you can drill down the epics as much as you'd like to fit your business needs. There's absolutely no limitations. And now we can go to the third stage of the breakdown, which is the user stories. So on the third stage is where we enhance the features with complete business processes, and these are called user stories, right? So once you've got to stage 3 of the breaking down the elephant, you have basically put the most challenging part of the project behind your back already. So that is step 1 done. You are down to the bare bones, and you now have the basic structure to start rebuilding the elephant once again. So ready for step 2 of the planning. So on the step 2 of our strategy, we simply consists on allocating the right resources to these items. So once we have the bare bone structure, we need to allocate each bone to the correct stakeholder so that we can add some meat back to the bones. I think it is important to highlight the importance of avoiding bottlenecks here. We must always plan a backup resource to cover for another when necessary. And rolling out such projects with isolated pillars, holding it up together, always has catastrophic results. So it is like having an entire elephant held by a pair of toothpicks, right? Sooner or later, we'll be crawling down. So, and highlighted here in the screen is how we can assign each item to a given stakeholder. You can copy as many backups as you'd like into each item. Um, and with that said, we reached the step 3 of our planning, defining the goals and priorities. All right. So in this step, the process of adding meat to the bone starts. So each stakeholder will be assigned with the relevant user stories to ensure complete business processes are duly outlined and documented by the ones that know it best. In the user stories, process owners can attach endless amounts of documentation or write a process directly in the description field, completed with print screens, tables, charts, you mention it. And again, the sky is the limit here. There's no limits. And the beauty of all this is that you can trace down the entire history of any DevOps items to the smallest change, like who changed the comma in the description and when, for example. Yeah. So in step 3 also, we set the priorities. Okay, so this is an exceptionally important part of the process, which must be done with extreme precision and attention to detail. It is impossible to deliver everything at once, right? Hence, prioritizations come very handy when deciding which piece of the puzzle must come first. So remember that the elephant must be rebuilt bottoms up if we want the pieces to hold up together. For that reason, our experienced business consultants will closely guide you on setting the right key priorities. And basically what we have is priority 1s and 2s we consider to be must-haves, right? While priority 3s should be could haves and priority 4s are nice to haves. So priority 1s and 2s are meant to be delivered before the go live, whereas the priorities 3s and 4s are to be delivered post-go live in general. In the print screen, I have highlighted how priorities can be added to items in DevOps as well here. And once priorities are set, it is time for our consultants to help you assess the risk. So in step 4 of our planning consists of analyzing each and every user story to identify the fits and the gaps of the project. So the results of the analysis can be added to the user stories as tags, as you can see here on the right side of the screen. And now we can move to step 5. So it is in step 5 here that AlfaPeople consultants will carefully estimate the tasks needed to cover each and every user story. If a user story was identified as a fit, the task estimation will most likely be related to creating workshops, showing stakeholders how to manage a given process in Dynamics. And if a user story turned out to be a gap, the task estimation will be related to a development needed or including the necessary testing and consequent user training, for example. So estimations are done in hours of work, and highlighted in the screen, you can see how tasks can display not only the original hour estimations, but also the completed hours, as well as the hours that are still left in the kitty, basically. So we need to keep that very well up to date. So at this point, we can prepare an overview of the backlogs where the workload is divided by each member of our team, giving us a clear indication of potential bottlenecks, which encourages work delegation and good teamwork. So this transparency provides minimal surprises. It displays the threats and the potential delays on the sprint deliveries well ahead of time, right? So just to clarify, a sprint is a group of tasks to be delivered within an agreed period of time, and this is normally within 4 weeks, give or take. So we arrived to step 6 of our planning. At this stage, we can put a realistic milestone plan in action. This is a summary of the entire life cycle of the project. And you can see here as an example that we had multiple sprints throughout the month. We calculated also around end of December, beginning of January, a period of holiday where most people are not here. So we planned for that and we started sprint 7 on around January 10th, January 9th. And then we planned all the way to sprint 10, which is prior to the go live, and then we went live on the 1st of May. And then after the 1st of May, we have the post go live hypercare, right? So this is just a summary of pretty much the milestones and what we're going to achieve and when are we going to deliver each of the sprints, and if we can make it before the due date. All right, so last but not least, planning data migrations, right? We all know just as well that data is the core of any system implementation. So it is mandatory to have a clear plan of migrations in sight. This plan should include the number of migrations to be executed, to have a clear cutoff dates, and have a transparent, easy to use structure in place to monitor the progress achieved. So funny enough that the data migration structure is also composed of 7 main steps, and they are the data extraction first, where we list and store each raw file extracted from the old system. And you can see it here, the first one, they're in sequence. Then we have the data cleansing. So we pick the raw file that we extracted from the old system, and then we do the data cleansing and we attach it in there. So we have the next step. Then we have the mapping as a third step, where we store the migration upload files correctly for Dynamics. Then we have the configurations, where we list all configurations needed to be done also in Dynamics. The fifth step is upload in Dynamics. So here's where we list and monitor each file uploaded in Dynamics. So whatever we upload in Dynamics, we put the file in there so that we can always retrieve back what has been migrated. Then finally, we do the checks, tests, and sign-offs. So here we list the checks and tests performed, not only to ensure the quality of the data imported, but also to safeguard the integrity of the business processes. So checks and tests are first carried out by AlfaPeople, and then we pass it on to the end users to be signed off, basically. The final step is the lessons learned. We have a lessons learned session where we list any lesson we have learned along the way during the data migration, and these lessons are carried out to the next migration to prevent recurring issues. All right, so that's basically it. In a nutshell, this is what the plan looks like for the data migration, and then we can go to see the bird's view of the steps, the 7 steps to success. So before we move on to the implementation itself, we have the step 1. As a first step, we have to split the work in edible chunks, as I said, first. Then second step, we add the right resources. Then we set the goals and the priorities. We define them. The fourth step is where the risk is assessed. Then we estimate the work, we schedule our milestones, and the seventh step, we carefully plan the data migrations. All right. So now let's put all the theory into practice and figure out how Agile methodologies are the missing glue in the implementation process that puts the bits and pieces together into a working increment of the final product. So in this diagram, basically it summarizes the entire process up until delivering small increments of the product. And these are called the sprints, right? So it works bottom up, while the item lifecycle status changes work left to right as sprints are being delivered. So it all starts with having a user story properly defined, right? So once the user story is ready for analysis, a consultant will create a link, a task to it describing the solution, right? And the necessary work effort estimation as well will be there. With the work estimated, the task will be placed into the product backlog right here, right? So we have a user story. User story is linked to a task, and then the task can be put on the product backlog, waiting for a prioritization to get done. So then, depending on its priority, the task can move into the next sprint backlog. It is here in the sprint that work is kick-started, right? So the life cycle of a sprint can vary, but in general, they are fully delivered within 4 weeks or 30 days. In a few occasions, we also do 1-week deliveries, sprints. So it depends. It can vary. In order to keep close track of the progress of each sprint, we have daily Scrum calls, um, which we call stand-up meetings. Stand-ups because they are meant to be very quick and efficient. They should not take longer than 15, 20 minutes, which is enough to effectively address potential threats to the delivery of the sprint. And we check both the sprint and the data migration progress. So there, each team member gives an update of what they have achieved in the last 24 hours, highlighting the highs and lows of the process. We agree on the work to be completed within the next 24 hours and redelegate tasks across the team based on daily availabilities, bottlenecks, and work dependencies. In addition to the daily scrums, we also have weekly catch-up meetings as well as the monthly sprint planning which are both self-explanatory, right? So we will repeat this cycle over and over again up until the user stories in priority 1 and 2 are delivered and we are ready for the go live. Very simple and very cool stuff. All right, so let's check now the dashboards. So this dashboard is used during the daily stand-ups to track progress on a given sprint, for example. It contains a complete list of tasks and bugs currently being worked on the sprint, and a few charts and tables summarizing the amount of hours already completed, the amount of remaining hours, and the progress achieved by item status, being active or closed. So we have a similar dashboard to keep an eye on the data migrations as well. Instead, this other dashboard highlights things such as amounts of tasks closed by each team member in the past 30 days, the team velocity, showing the amount of work initially planned on a sprint versus the actuals delivered, which is quite interesting. Then we have the sprint and the task burn down, the cumulative flow diagram showing the progress of user story status between others. So, I mean, there's really a lot that you can build up on the dashboards. There's really no limits when it comes to creating these meaningful dashboards to help you out in DevOps. All you need is creativity to build a query and let data do the rest. So it is really easy to do this. You don't need any special training or knowledge because it's so intuitive. So let's have a look at the main advantages of using DevOps in combination with Agile methods. We saw that we can use DevOps to be the one and only source of truth. It is visible to everyone across the board. It promotes early team engagement, which encourages the teamwork. It provides maximal transparency with unprecedented real-time project status. And it is compatible with automation of builds, tests, and deployments. And all of this in combination with the Scrum and other Agile methods will streamline the communication between the teams, both customer and AlfaPeople. It will maintain focus on deliveries. It will allow also the immediate action plans, so there's no delays, no waiting on anybody. It stimulates CI and CD, the continuous integration and deployment with each sprint increment, and it will nurture a culture of continuous learning and growth. Very well. So this is all I have for you today. But if you want to learn more on this, please feel free to contact us for a separate session. We'll be very happy to help you out and to give you more information on this. I thank you all for your time, and I will kindly pass the word now to my colleague, Julian. Julian, the
Yeah, thank
stage
you
is
very much.
yours.
Thank you very much, Joao.
You're welcome.
I always love this elephant slides. So, okay, my name is Julian Rostdeutsch. I am project manager at AlfaPeople. Have several years of experience in leading software projects and being sub-project leader in several bigger and smaller projects. So I have some interesting things to share with you. First, we want to offer you a PM Basics workshop series. We're currently working on maintaining or currently working on giving you the chance to have a small and compact module series of project knowledge. The first one is methodology. Um, of course, Agile is trend, and we have heard of Joao that he works in Agile projects. Now, what we want to introduce you to is how do agile work function, how do classic projects work, and how could you combine it to the perfect mix? Because in the most software project, it's not realistic to completely get rid of concepts and documentation, or only work with backlogs and agile methodology. So we always prefer a combination of both, a hybrid model. Um, and this gives us the chance to have some fixed information, to have some pre-work, and to have the advantages of the agile methodology in the later phases of the project. So what Joao is doing with breaking down the elephant is something you do very early, but you have to know what the elephant is, or how big, or how it looks like. And we are working on breaking down the elephant very early, but you have to identify the parts of the elephant. This is basically what this is about. You have to do a concept with your must-have information, and the must-haves are like the line, the center of the project, and everything else is being held agile. Now, the second workshop module is about time and budget goals. We have made some experience with several customers who just aren't realistic about how a project works, or how they think it should work. It's not that you can go to a partner and say, we make a fixed price, and then you're negotiating so many hours that actually the negotiating is more expensive than the change request you have the offer to. So this is about how to work together, how to plan your time, how to plan the budget accordingly. So you really have a clear and realistic sense of what to expect. Yeah. Um, we usually see that people want standardized products, but of course, every customer has its own processes. They are unbeatable. So you have to find a mix between being someone who buys a standard product and expects a standard product, or you expect the price of a standard product, but everything is working as it was before. And in this module, we will help you find the right perspective to this topic. We want to help you to find a realistic goal to yourself and to your project budget. Then organization, structure, and responsibilities. In modern software projects, you have so many players involved. You have stakeholders to manage. You have probably some roles like the sponsors. You have visionaries in your team. You have skeptics. You have the braking people, the people who step on the brake and slow down your whole project. You have heard of scrum masters, of product owners, project leaders, sub-project leaders, and of course you have users, you have testers, and this is about finding the right responsibilities, the right roles, and of course to find the right people for this. This is essentially and crucial to get a project done. You need the right people, the right structure, you need the right communication instruments, and this is about organization. Of course, this leads to teamwork and change management, and this is one of the biggest things we experience in software projects. Everything in software project management is about change management. When you switch to a new system, people are always frustrated because from an expert, from one day to another, you are a newbie in your job. You are maybe not able to do your job as you want to. And this leads to frustration. This leads to negative emotions. And it's your job to basically transform this negative emotions to a good experience overall, because there is something like the valley of tears, and the valley of tears says that everyone has to go through this negative emotion to really grow out of it, and at the end something is working better. This is about change curves. This is about how do teams work together. This is about norming, storming, performing, etc. The Tuckman four phases model of team building. This is about how to get out of this situation, how to manage conflicts accordingly. You will at some point sit down and think your partner is not the right one, but this is a completely normal phenomenon in software project management. You will always come to the point where you have negative emotions, and we want to help you and to give you some insight about how to make this happen, that everything is centered about the project, the topic again, not about the negative emotions. And with this workshop series, we will have some funny slides. We have some interesting things to explain to you from years and years of experience of our AlfaPeople consultants and project managers.